What is the next
What does
5
that
years
mean?
of
Blake Lively is one of the most famous women and now one of the most talked about women, given her recent negative press from the interview that was revealed, showing her in a kind of mean girl's fashion.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
Now, we're going to be going over some surprising facts about Blake Lively. Now, she rose to fame after her role in the television series Gossip Girl. She, again, is now one of the most well-known women, particularly that she is married to Ryan Reynolds. So Blake was born on August 25th, 1987 in LA. She actually grew up in a Hollywood family. So showbiz is in her blood. Both her mother and father were involved in showbiz. And she's had some early life struggles.
But 15 seconds. That's all it takes.
And a recent heartache, and we're going to be diving into this tragic true life story of Blake Lively that you may not know about. Number one, may surprise you to know that Lively was actually bullied as a child. Sadly, bullying is something that we all experience, and there are many celebrities that have actually admitted to and shared that they have been bullied in the past. Perhaps bullying is one of those things that when you experience, you can appreciate what it's like to be that person who is the subject of bullying. And now that it's kind of, I don't want to say bittersweet. It's a great feeling to know that you've gotten beyond that bullying. And now you can look at your former bullies and be like, I wasn't fazed, right? At the end of the day, I win, you lose.
Just be like a sentence of something that had happened.
So she was bullied as a child because of the way she dressed. Supposedly her mother, obviously being in, Hollywood and a bit of a fashionista, she would dress her in unique wardrobe, dissimilar to how her kids would dress. She would stand out among her peers in her LA private school that she attended. It was the only school where people were just downright mean to me, she said. She mentioned that in a Vogue interview. They would make fun of my clothes and because I dressed differently than other kids.
The impact of the fashion on that show was greater than anything else.
The actor has also spoken about how she was the victim of childhood bullying based on her appearance. So in 2018, she posted an image to Instagram of her visiting the set of Sesame Street, where she was able to get a photograph with the character Big Bird. Now, in the caption, she revealed that the kids would refer to her by that name. So kids used to make fun of me in elementary school by calling me Big because I was too tall and had yellow hair. Here's to making best buddy with the things that once hurt you, is what she had captioned. Now, the Gossip Girl star also shared that because of Gossip Girl, it actually prevented her from going to college. Now, it's not uncommon that actors have to make this decision of either going to school, completing school, being homeschooled, because they have projects that, require them to be there. And so they're not able to actually go to school because of the demands of their work schedule. Now, the challenge in this particular case is that when she took on Gossip Girl, supposedly she had mentioned to the directing team and to the people who casted her that she did want to complete college, and they said that would be fine. But when it actually happened, she didn't have the time or bandwidth to attend college, so she literally had to give up college. Speaking to Vanity Fair, Lively said that she was misled by the CW. Execs reportedly refused to add a clause to her contract regarding college and instead made a verbal agreement that they ultimately didn't honor. This is advice to anyone. When they say, we promise, but we can't put it in writing, there's a reason that they can't put that in writing. Clearly, that's a lesson that, pretty much an obvious glaring red flag. If they can't put it in writing, you better bet that it's probably not going to happen. Now, supposedly Lively lived in fear about her relationship with Penn Badgley, one of her co-stars, and she thought that would be a really bad thing. So before she was in a relationship with Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively dated her fellow actor Penn Badgley, and he is best known for his role as Joe Goldberg in the Netflix series You these days, but Badgley also co-starred with her in Gossip Girl from 2007 until 2012, and he played Dan Humphrey. So at the time of the relationship, the two were both in their early 20s, and they worked hard at the fact to keep it a secret because they thought that would be a really bad thing. Now, instead of it being a bad thing, when they found out, the executive found out, they actually, because everybody's interested in celebrity relationships, they actually encouraged it. It got more press. So it wasn't a big deal after all. I remember there was one point where we were just afraid of how our personal lives overlapping our work life could be perceived by our bosses. And that's what she told Vanity Fair. But later we were like, oh, no, that's exactly what they want. They wanted us all to wear the same clothes that we're wearing on the show. And they wanted that because then it fed the whole narrative people could buy into this world. Okay. She also, surprising fact, The Shallows took a physical toll on her body. Now, many actors, when they take on a role, they actually embody that role. And Lively is known to do a lot of her own stunts. In fact, she did have an accident. We're going to go into that in a later chat, but she took on a lot of the physical demands of this role. So Blake Lively has never been an actor who has been afraid of committing to the role. So for The Shallows, she was stranded away from the shore. She was pursued by a shark, and her character is forced to improvise using her limited supplies to survive. And she apparently did almost all of her own stunts. It is such a physical movie, she told Entertainment Weekly. There's a scene where I'm swimming up to the buoy and I crack my face underwater and my nose is pouring blood. And that was real. And that happened. And I wasn't supposed to crack my face underwater. Now, many actors would have bailed on the scene following such an injury, and Lively felt like she had a point to prove. I thought, I'm going to keep going during this take unless I pass out because I want them to see what they did to me. I want them to see how determined I am, and I'm very proud of my bloody nose. I was in so much pain for a week. Now, this is something that she had to deal with and that most celebrities have to deal with. She's had to deal with many malicious rumors. She has mentioned to the press that these rumors are embarrassing to her. And also what's most hurtful for her is that her family has to read about these rumors. And that is not something that she has ever enjoyed. She's explained how unpleasant the rumor mill can be during a candid interview with Vogue. There have been so many things written about me that are untrue and horrifying. She said, I can't even believe that my family has to read this stuff. And these have included malicious rumors that she and Reynolds are going to split up or they're going to divorce, things about their relationship that are all untrue. Now, talking about embodying her roles, she suffered a serious injury that required 2 surgeries on her hand while she was filming. So in the 2020 action thriller film, The Rhythm Section, Blake Lively plays Stephanie Patrick. She's a woman that seeks to avenge her family and that they're killing during a terrorist attack. And she begins training under Jude Law's Ian Boyd. And during that time, his elbow and her hand collided. She actually broke a bunch of things in her hand, fractured them, required her to be off set for weeks. I was like lunging toward Jude Law with my fake rubber knife. My hand collided with his elbow and I broke some things and dislocated some things and severed a ligament. So the actor then had to endure painful physical therapy with very little use of her hand until it was fixed. And actually in the movie, Lively's character can be seen wearing a brace. Here's one thing that you may not know. She's had some business projects and side projects outside of acting that failed spectacularly. Outside of acting, Blake Lively kept herself busy with an array of additional business ventures. In fact, we see many actors, A-list celebrities, branching off, starting their own tequila brands, their makeup brands, Gwyneth Paltrow with Goop. And she tried something including Blake Brown hairline, Betty Buzz and Betty Booze drinks, which include non-alcoholic mixers. But one of the ones that really was devastating is that in 2014, she launched a lifestyle website called Preserve. Now, this focuses on artisan and unique products from creators around the United States. Essentially, it was a very public failure. They launched it, and very shortly thereafter, she had to take it down. Here's what she said. We have an incredible team of people who do beautiful work, but we launched the site before it was ready. And she told that to Vogue after the website failed. I never thought I would have the bravery to actually do that and to take the site dark and to say, you know what? I haven't created something that is as true and impactful as I know it can and will be. So that was a failure. She has struggled with imposter syndrome and insecurities, okay? We all might think that actors, they wake up in the morning, they don't struggle, they're full of confidence, they can do it all. However, she has admitted that she has had imposter syndrome. She spoke to The Independent explaining that she felt as though she had fooled producer when she won her role in The Private Lives of Pippa Lee. admitting that she is completely shy when the cameras aren't rolling. I've heard of these celebrities, being more of introverts versus extroverts, but this is what performers do. This is why they're an actor. They have the ability to be whoever they need to be when the cameras are rolling. But when the cameras aren't rolling, we can't assume that they're this way all the time. Oftentimes, in her case, she had said, she has experienced emotional highs and lows. As the years have passed, she's been able to get her emotions under control, but she has spoken about how having children has helped her to feel more secure and open. That's not surprising. If you were bullied as a child, if you were called Big Bird, if, she actually didn't even really want to become an actor. Her brother's the one who kind of, I wouldn't say forced her, who got her an opportunity that led her into acting, even though she's the child of two, actor parents. Now, she lost her father to cardiac complications in 2021. Blake Lively's influence by her parents has been essential in helping her establish her career in the entertainment industry. Her mother and father worked in Hollywood. Elaine Lively worked as a talent scout, while Ernie Lively was an actor who had roles in everything from Turner and Hooch and The West Wing. So she grew up in a household that was so involved in show business, and it's no surprise that she went into acting herself. So in 2021, her family was heartbroken when her father, Ernie, died. The Hollywood Reporter confirmed that he passed away at the age of 74 in his home in Los Angeles, and he was surrounded by his wife and his children, and the cause of death given was cardiac complications, okay? Another thing she has struggled with is that people have gone to extreme lengths to get pictures of her and her children. So Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have made it a mission to try to keep their personal lives very discreet, although she has said that paparazzi pops out of nowhere, sometimes scares the kids. She's had heated arguments with them because as much as they're in the limelight, they really want to shelter their kids from being in the limelight. So this is something that she continues to struggle with. She had written in a now deleted Instagram post explaining that she's had grown men jump out and follow her with her children, and has been a very traumatic experience for them. Lively also has shared that she was sexually harassed by a makeup artist. Now, sexual harassment and misogyny is not something unfamiliar for women in the entertainment industry. Obviously, we know that this came up to light in the biggest way when there were several allegations made by producer Harvey Weinstein, who was actually sentenced of 16 years in prison for rape and sexual assault in 2022. We hear of these sexual assault cases from so many different people. Kevin Spacey, we have Bill Cosby. I mean, the list goes on and on. It quickly became apparent that the sexual misconduct in Hollywood is widespread, and she also spoke about it after the Me Too movement. Blake Lively is an example of this, where the star revealed that she experienced frequent sexual harassment from a makeup artist. Now, she didn't name the production, but Lively did detail some of the abuse she experienced and said that her complaints were ignored for months. In fact, action was only taken against the individual after Lively spoke to a lawyer. The harassment involved unwanted physical touching and non-consensual filming. He was saying things inappropriately, insisting putting my lipstick on with his finger. And I was sleeping one night on location. When I woke up, he was filming me. I was clothed, but it was a very voyeuristic, terrifying thing to do. Okay. Another thing, Lively and Reynolds had to apologize for their choice of wedding venue. Oh, yes. This was something that was in the news at the time. The following slide deals not only with tragic events that happened to Blake Lively, but with the actor's admitted ignorance of historical tragedy. So she and Ryan Reynolds met on the set of the box office bomb that was Green Lantern, and rumors soon began to swirl that the pair were dating, although official confirmations that they weren't an item didn't come until the following year. But they got married on September 9th, 2012, after a year less than dating, but the marriage took place at Boon Plantation in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. And it's a location that features 9 slave cabins referred to as Slave Street. So although they thought this was a beautiful place to film, they didn't think of the consideration of the fact that this was a former slave camp. And it had 9 actual slave cabins. So this caused a lot of controversy, and the couple were criticized again in 2018 after Reynolds expressed his support for the majority Black cast of Marvel's Black Panther. And it wasn't until 2020 that the couple acknowledged they had made a mistake by picking Boon Plantation. It's impossible to reconcile, Reynolds told Fast Company. What we saw at the time at this wedding was a venue on Pinterest. What we saw after was a place built upon devastating tragedy. So at least they've acknowledged that. This came on the back of the couple donating $200,000 to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. We remain in awe of the organization, Lively said in a statement to Instagram. The couple also revealed that they had renewed their vows in a separate ceremony at their home. So there you have it. There are some facts and tragedies and, a little bit about Blake Lively that she's dealt with. In light of, the negative light that she's had, would you show a little more empathy and understanding for what she's been through? Perhaps her interview as well is something that maybe could have been misunderstood in there. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.